Hello, hi, welcome to my kitchen once again. Today is a very, very special day because we're making brownies. We're making really, really easy fudgy brownies with really, really simple ingredients. I hope that you guys can see me okay and hear me okay, but let me know if you can't. Gosh, I'm looking a little bit pale today. Yeah, so do let me know if you are cooking along as well. So as some of you know, we actually released the ingredients and the equipment earlier in the week, or even like a week ahead of time. And then you guys can get the ingredients and the equipment and you can cook with me, which means that you can ask me questions as we go. And that's the whole point of these things, is that you can get more support basically when you're making somebody's recipe, because if you read it in a book or if you're watching TV, like quite often you can like have questions that the person who's created the recipe wouldn't necessarily even have thought of. So this is a really, really great place for you guys to ask questions, you know, and if your recipe isn't quite turning out right or something like that, then I'm here to help you. Okay, so Justine said hello again. She's saying hello again because I was on Instagram doing this recipe earlier today. So I'm here on a Friday. I would normally be here on a Saturday, but I've got an appointment tomorrow. But usually it's Saturdays. So Saturdays, midday, every week, I'm here making a recipe. Okay, so Justine says, you know, you would have lots of brownies by the end of the day. Not a bad problem to have. Jeff is quite thrilled that this is basically dinner. So Okay guys, so let's get on with the recipe. Really, really, really straightforward recipe. I've got the oven on at 170 degrees Celsius. So quite a low heat really, because with this recipe what we want to do is we want to basically just dry out the brownies enough so that they'll hold together. This is a way of making a brownie that is very, very fudgy. It's not cakey, okay? There is quite a spectrum of brownie recipes out there. There are some that are cakey at one end, and there are some that are basically like liquid chocolate that is just about held together. So our fudgy brownies that we're making today are at this end. They are pretty much like liquid chocolate that is just about held together. So they can be a little bit messy to eat. I prefer eating these with a fork or a spoon with some ice cream or you know, some plant milk on the side or something like that, because they are quite rich as well. Paul said he just got a notification of this. Okay, well, it's good that that's working. It's good that that's working. I think everybody who came to the show last Saturday, all of our regulars, kind of forgot, or maybe didn't hear me say I would be here on a Friday. But you guys can all like catch up. They can always catch up. But you know, what are you guys going to do tomorrow? Without me? Maybe Justine. Justine, you can do a cook-along instead of me, as I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Okay, so on to the recipe. As I said, 170 degrees Celsius. I've got the tray, the shelf ready. I'm going to put these into the middle of the oven, not the top, not the bottom, into the middle. So that's all ready. Annie is here as well. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so with this recipe, you can use it as a base recipe. I haven't added any nuts or other, you know, unusual flavorings or anything like that, because this is really what you guys can use as a base, and then you can add whatever you want to it. So you can add, you know, orange zest or lime zest or cinnamon, or yes, Justine, you can add nutmeg. You could add toasted hazelnuts, dried cherries. Like, the list is endless, because chocolate actually goes very, very well with loads and loads and loads and loads of flavours. Okay, so I will stop nattering and let's make some brownies. So the first ingredient that we've got is 400 grams of caster sugar. And I know, that's a lot of sugar. It is a lot of sugar. So these fudgy brownies are, we've also got a spectrum for healthy food. And you know, this recipe is at the kind of decadent, naughty side of recipes. We also have a protein brownie recipe on the website, which is at the other end. So, you know, you guys can decide, you know, how you're feeling that day, you know, what type of brownies you want to make, and we've got you covered, basically, whatever you want. So Justine said everyone's forgotten, haven't they? I can do a live when I finish work in the new kitchen. I'll be a double up plus Dobby. Oh, I'm sure everybody would love your little dog Dobby to be in it. Okay, so 400 grams of caster sugar. I use Billington's caster sugar for mine. And then I've got 200 millilitres of sunflower oil. This actually has some rapeseed oil in it as well. I ran out of sunflower oil, so I just used like half and half. As long as it's a neutral oil, it doesn't matter. So you don't want to be using anything that has like quite a distinct flavour, like toasted sesame oil or extra virgin olive oil, but also extra virgin olive oil can be used in some really delicious cookie and cake recipes, but it isn't going to be in this one. So 200 millilitres of sunflower oil. There we go, into there. 200 millilitres of plant milk. And I have purposefully made the measurements of this recipe very, very easy for you guys to remember. So that hopefully once you've made it a few times, you won't actually need a recipe, which is always much better because it means that it's quicker for you to cook. In here we have 200 grams of Dove's rice flour. This is because I'm gluten-free. You don't have to use rice flour. You can use plain gluten flour if you want to. You just use exactly the same amount. That's absolutely fine. Rice flour is particularly good for this recipe, and also this is a really easy gluten-free recipe if you want to try out gluten-free recipes, because with brownies it's very difficult to go wrong with gluten-free. The cakes can be a little bit more tricky if you don't have like the right recipe, but brownies is super easy to make gluten-free. Okay, there we go. We'll just pop that in there, and there you go. There is the link to the healthier brownie recipe. So we are just literally like dumping everything in a bowl. Like there is like virtually like no skill or technique to this recipe whatsoever. 100 grams of cocoa powder. You guys can use raw cacao if you want to. Raw cacao is lovely. It's just more expensive, basically. So I wanted to make this recipe, you know, budget friendly, but also ingredients that you can get from a local supermarket. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like a big supermarket because these are really simple ingredients to get. We've got 4 teaspoons of vanilla essence there, and half a teaspoon of salt, and that is it. That is it. So we're going to give it a good mix now, and it is going to get a bit lumpy. So I've got my my whisk to hand, but I'll start with my spoon, and I'll bring you guys over to the overhead camera so you can see this. But let me just see if there are any more comments. Justine has said defo the more chatty group than Instagram. Oh yeah, definitely. But to be honest, right, the Instagram lives we've only just recently started, and you guys were quiet when I started doing Facebook lives, gosh, 2 years ago? Was it when I was doing them consistently? You're all a bit quiet. It took a while for you to warm up. So Freya has shared the link to the healthier brownie recipe, so that's there if you want it. Dawn says, yay, I made it to a live with you. Ah, welcome. And Justine said, who wants a healthier brownie? It depends on how I'm feeling, to be honest, and how often I've been to the gym that week. Karen says, oh dear, I'm late to the party. That's okay. This is a really simple recipe. Basically, all I've done, Karen, is dump all of the ingredients into a bowl. So that's pretty much it. And you've got all of the ingredients just there. Paul says, Facebook 1, Instagram not. You guys getting competitive. Justine says, I was very happy with the lack of gram flour. Yeah, definitely. So gram flour, when it's raw, is absolutely disgusting. And you know what it's like when you've got batter in a bowl with something like this. You want to have a lick of it, but if it's got gram flour in it, it tastes disgusting. So we've got rice flour in it this time, so it will taste lovely. Dawn said, I love brownies. It's 7 a.m. in Kentucky. That's brownie time. Definitely. Definitely. Justine says the Justine Chef Day show. No one else is talking. Yeah, we've had a few people come in. We've had a few people come in finally, so it's not just you and me, babe. Christine says made it. Life's a bit skewed. My grandson's poorly, so I'm also doing my Florence Nightingale bit. Might have to prescribe brownies. Oh, bless him. Well, I really hope that he gets better soon. Send him special Chef Day hugs and brownies. Okay, right. Let's bring you guys over to the overhead camera. There we go. Okay, so I'll just start it off with my spoon. But it is going to get a bit lumpy. And I prefer this method than sieving. I always find sieving quite annoying to do. And actually, you know, when I started working in professional kitchens, nobody sieved anything. The easiest and quickest way, especially if you've got a really big amount of batter, and this is what we would do in a professional kitchen, was we would just stick a hand blender in it and get rid of any lumps. And you know me and hand blenders, I mean, geez, I think that's just attached to my hand permanently, a hand blender. Okay, so now we just have a little bit of a workout and give it a good whisk. And this is the whisk that is the attachment to my electric whisk. And I just use that and try to minimize the amount of tools and equipment I have. And you know what it's like when you're into food, like I already have quite a stash of equipment. So I try not to add any unnecessarily. And you can see that all of the lumps pretty much have been removed from there. There you go, and it's nice and silky. There we go. Annie says, I'm so pleased I got notified. That's amazing. I don't know if you guys have like selected something on Facebook that means that you definitely get like notifications. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Then that's the consistency. So if you're worried, you know, if you're like swapping out the flour, then as long as it's this consistency, you'll be fine. Okay. Oh, Justine is trying to tag people to get them to come along. There we go. Right, okay, so now we can pour it into our tray. You guys can use a brownie pan. You can see this isn't like your traditional brownie pan at all. This is actually like a flat for a flan. That's why it's got this like fluted edge to it. It goes in there. And I just picked this up at one of those very rare charity shops that does baking stuff, which I absolutely love. We've got one place in Horsham that does, you know, like old kitchen bits and pieces. You know, like I managed to get like some lovely like pottery bits from it, but not many charity shops do stuff like that anymore. And I don't think it had ever been used actually. So the reason why I want to use this is because I want more edges. So particularly with fudgy brownies, it's good to have more edges because then you'll get the difference in texture. So the edge will be crisper. It will have cooked more basically because it's got more heat from the sides of the pan. And what it will mean is that you know, you'll get those different textures, those different like the crunchiness and then the gooiness, and also the edge will help the gooey part all stick together basically. And so that's why I'm going to be using this. But I totally understand that you guys may not have a pan this size, but with this recipe you can just use an 8" by 8" brownie pan that's about 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, and that's like the traditional type of brownie pan. Now I have seen some brownie pans that look like a maze. They look like that, and again the reason for that is that you would then have more edges. Particularly good for fudgy brownies. If your brownie recipe is more of a cakey brownie, then it doesn't really matter so much. Okay, so oh, we've got Louise here as well. Louise, hello. Right, so now we can just pour this in to our pan. This is actually my favourite bit because I'm gonna see if I can show. Yeah, there we go. Show you guys like how beautiful this is. Oh, it looks so delicious. I mean, it is just like liquid chocolate. And with this recipe, it makes about 12 pieces, all in all. And I'm going to put it in the oven for about 50 minutes. It's 40 to 50 minutes that it needs. And brownies are a funny thing. They're different to other, you know, cake and cookie recipes where you cook it and, you know, you press it to see if it springs back up again, and then you know that it's done. Whereas with a brownie recipe, because it gets firmer as it cools, we have to kind of guess a little bit at it. So what we're looking for is for the edges all around these sides to raise up a bit, to be firmer, and we want the centre to still be quite moist. The top will cook as well and become more crisp. But if you get your brownies out of the oven and you let them cool, and then you decide, well, actually they're a little bit too gooey still, then you can totally put them back in the oven. Even if they have cooled completely, you can put them back into the oven and let them warm up a bit, you know, because they'll need like 10 minutes to actually like reach a good temperature, and then they might need like another 10 minutes or something like that. So you can totally do that, that's fine. Okay, so let me just go and pop this in the oven. Now I'm actually going to go and pop this in the oven, not fake put it in the oven, which I have been known to do on occasion. Okay, guys, here is one I made earlier. Yum, yum. I'm going to bring you guys to the overhead camera so you can see how delightful this is. There we go. Woo! Whoa. Yummy. So you can see that that top is crisped up, and you can see that around the edges it looks different to how the centre is. So those edges have become a bit more cakey, but then with the gooey centre part. Okay. That is what we're looking for. And this is one that I made earlier as well. And I've put a little bit of like a chocolate glaze on that as well, just to make the top look a bit more interesting and basically to make my photos look pretty as well. It's not like it actually needs any more chocolate on it, but it made the photos look a lot better. There we go. And let me just show you the inside of that as well. You can see like it's still squidgy, and I actually store mine in the fridge, and they'll last at least a week, and you can see how this edge part has puffed up more than this center part. So this is a corner piece here. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Let's just come back over here. Okay, so Paul said, Colleen not here, but no rainbow today. Colleen's got all the rainbows. You see, she stole them. And right, what other comments do we have? Justine says, you fake put it in the oven this morning. Does that mean you are cooking two now? Yeah, well, this one and then that one. And then we've got some left over from last week as well. So I think that we'll probably have 28 brownies in the house. That's pretty good. And Louise said, oh my word, yes, exactly. Annie said, very nice. Can this recipe be frozen? Yeah, absolutely. So cook them, get to this stage, and cut them up, and then you can freeze them. That will work absolutely fine. And if you do want to have them warm, if you want to serve them warm but they've cooled down, then if you've got a microwave, you could just put them in the microwave for a few seconds. You could even just pop them back into the oven for a few minutes, just to warm through. This is very nice with ice cream, just vanilla ice cream. Like, you don't need any other type of flavour with it, and that vanilla ice cream will mellow out the chocolatiness of it. I've also had this with Greek style vegan yogurt, which was very nice, because the sourness for me personally went very well with the sweetness, because I don't have a massive sweet tooth. I love I love making recipes that are sweet and baking recipes especially, but I don't really like eating loads of them. So Jeff's a happy boy. Okay, so guys, that was a really quick one today. It was a really, really quick one. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. The written recipe is on our website, so you've got all of the amounts there. So, you know, if you prefer the written recipe, then it's there. Do completely choose your own adventure with this. So, you know, add whatever flavourings you want to add to it. I love the Holy Llama spice drops, so if you guys haven't checked those out, then please do check them out. They are really, really concentrated flavourings, and they're all natural. They're a really, really wonderful company, so I really, really like what they do. They're called Holy Llama. But you can add like toasted hazelnuts, dried cherries, or whatever spices that you want. I think lime zest would be really, really lovely in this as well, if anybody can remember those chocolate and lime sweets that we used to get. Really delicious. So, you know, completely choose your own adventure. If you want to add like some texture, then adding dried fruit, adding nuts, you know, whatever you want to it. So there we go. Really, really simple, budget friendly. Can buy the ingredients from your local Spar recipe. Okay guys, that's it. So next week I will be back with you on Saturday. We'll be making another really easy recipe, cauliflower korma. Very delicious. Great for this time of year as well. It isn't a spicy dish either, so it's for any of you out there who like curries but really don't like a lot of spice. Yeah, so please do join me for that, and as always, have a lovely day.